That felt good. This is Locked On Baylor Football Postgame.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah. Welcome to the Locked On Baylor Football Postgame Show, your number one destination for Baylor football postgames. Best one there is. Thanks so much for making it your first listen today and every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. I'm Cam Stewart, your host of ESPN Central Texas and the Cam Show on YouTube, Rogue Media Sports Network. Wow. Baylor just waltzes into Lubbock, takes out Tech, takes them to the absolute woodshed, 59-35, and it wasn't even that close. Wow, who saw that one coming? I did not. And I doubt any of you did either, but we will bask in the glory of a stunning blowout victory for the Bears, knocking Tech out of the ranks of undefeated in the conference and officially knocking them out of that number one spot in the Big 12. Wow. What? Sawyer Robertson goes in there, hometown team, kind of a shaky first half up until that last drive. Bunch of his family members in the stands wearing Tech gear. 5 touchdown passes. 5 of them. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most by a Baylor quarterback in 9 years. I had someone text me about this game who doesn't really watch a ton of Baylor football and said, wow, this looked like what it looked like 10 years ago in the Art Briles teams. And you know what? They're right. That is what that looked like. 59-35 with your quarterback throwing 5 touchdown passes. Yeah, that is what it looked like. Wasn't exactly the same play calls, but that's how it panned out. A couple of touchdowns you give up in garbage time. It should have been more than that. That's what it used to be like. 4-hour games, scoring 60 points. Yeah, that's what it used to be. And somehow in the midst of this season and this 2-year stretch, you just mix in a little like Art Briles era game in there against Tech on the road. By the way, 101 combined points in their last 2 trips to Lubbock. How about that? Whew. Oh, man, what a freaking game. Sawyer Robertson, 5 touchdown passes. Josh Cameron, 3 touchdown catches. Almost had a 4th touchdown on a punt return that he returns, what'd they say, 73 yards to the 1-yard line? What? I mean, just Baylor just rolled in this game, and it was not as comfortable as it should have been at some points in the first half, but they had a 10-point lead and should have been 14, but you had a 10-point lead on the road, first half. Tech gets it down to 3, and then this game changes. This game changes right before the half. Tech puts a nice drive together. They go down and score to cut the lead to 3 with just under 2 minutes to go. Baylor has all 3 of their timeouts and the ball to start the second half. And I said, this is a big opportunity for Baylor. But in my mind, I was thinking they are going to mess this up. That's what I was thinking. I was like, but this is a big opportunity. They can go down and score. They can get a double whammy. They can be up by 3 scores again before Tech gets the ball back. And Sawyer had not been great up to that point. Been okay, but they were moving the ball only a little bit. They had not made explosive plays on offense. And Sawyer goes down and does a perfect 2-minute drill. Perfect. An absolute seed over the middle. I think it was to Ashton Hawkins. Seed through 2 defenders. Then that play where the pocket is collapsing, he just flips it out to Richard Reese. 25-yard run, gets you inside the 30. And then, that's our 2024 Baylor coming out to play. OPI on Michael Trigg, backs them up, takes time off the clock, and they don't panic. 30 seconds left. They run a play that runs off 17 seconds. They only get to the 24. And then Trigg redeems himself, catch inside the 10. It goes down to the 6-yard line. They call their last timeout with 8 seconds left. For some reason, Beth Mowins is surprised that they called their timeout. saying like, why do they do that? Well, pretty obvious. They don't need that last time out if they're only going to throw it to the end zone, which they do, and they execute it. They get a touchdown to Josh Cameron. And from that point, it's not game over, but Baylor's feeling really good about itself after that. And you look at the drives they had in the second half. I mean, this is what the offense was supposed to look like. This Tech defense was there were some metrics to show they were a little suspect, especially in the pass game. But the proof was in the pudding. I think Tech had put out good defensive performances so far this year up until this game. Because then after that, all right, you get the touchdown before the half. You actually go 3 and out on the first drive of the second half. Then after that, touchdown, 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 touchdown. End of game. They didn't stop you after that first drive of the second half. 5-minute drive, touchdown, 9-play, 5-minute drive. Then the real killer was after the Caden Jenkins interception, 3 plays, 49 yards, touchdown, 2-minute drive, touchdown, 2-minute drive, touchdown, 50-second drive, touchdown. Daquan Finn even scored a touchdown. Like, this was an absolute laugher. Tech needed to score touchdowns on their final 2 drives just to keep the game at a 24-point game. My God, man. They crushed them. They absolutely destroyed them. Tech could not live with Baylor today in their own building. I mean, that's as overwhelming a performance we've seen for Baylor in a Big 12 game in years, man. Since 2021, like, I don't even remember the Kansas game back then. I mean, that was not a team that was overpowering you offensively. This looked and felt like an Art Briles coach game 10 years ago. Oh, what sweet redemption for Sawyer Robertson, man. We're going to talk about it on Monday's show quite a bit, but this kid, 2 shots. Tech had 2 shots at let me say that again for dramatic effect. Tech had 2 shots at Sawyer Robertson. They didn't offer him either time. They didn't give this kid an offer out of high school, and he's playing in Lubbock. Mississippi State, Mike Leach, they're like, sign me up, and now he's just destroying them a couple years later. That has got to feel good. A good nugget from the broadcast, of which there were not many, was they asked Sawyer Robertson how many seats, how many tickets he needed for this game, being a Lubbock kid. And he was like, honestly, not that many. Most of my family's already going to be there. They are Tech season ticket holders. Like, how is this not going to keep Joey McGuire up at night thinking, oh my God, you know, the Matt Wells regime, they had a shot at this kid. They put all their eggs in the Baron Morton basket. 4-star out of high school. We didn't even offer him. He goes to Mississippi State. We have another shot at him. We say, no, we're good. We're all set with Tyler Shuck and Donovan, the kid at Houston. We're all good. And again, Barron's had a pretty solid year thus far. But Sawyer Robertson just made you just completely reevaluate how you're looking at quarterback talent in your own backyard. That has got to feel good, man. Woo! We didn't get it with Charlie Brewer in Austin a few years ago. We get it in Sawyer Robertson in Lubbock. Josh Cameron, what an unbelievable game for him. 3 touchdowns through the air. And again, almost had another one on a punt return, which he has been great at this season. 6 catches, 75 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Bears had, Ashton Hawkins also had 6 catches for 69 yards. Hal Presley had a touchdown in there. Monterey Baldwin had a touchdown in there. It has not been a shining year for him. It's been a bit of a struggle, but Tech ran 20 more plays than Baylor did, and Baylor had nearly 100 more yards of offense. Think about that. The Bears go for 529 yards of total offense. You want to talk about balance, 274 through the air, 255 on the ground. They were 5 of 12 on third down, which is pretty solid, not great. And they crushed them. Tech had 20 more plays and 6 more first downs, and Baylor beat them by 24 points. And by the way, as good as this offense was today, you have got to credit the defense. The game plan was good. Steve Linton was having a good game. Another guy going back to Tech. the place where he played before Baylor. He was very solid in this game, got a sack, had plenty of pressure. I thought the coverage was good for most of the game. I mean, how many times did Barron just have to stand back there, check down? And Taj Brooks goes for 125 yards, but when was he controlling the game? That's what has made Taj Brooks so special at Tech, is that he can control a game all by himself when Tech is running the heck out of the ball and he's the one doing it. No point today was he like crushing Baylor and dictating the pace of the game. Wasn't doing it. So yeah, he gets 125 and a touchdown, but that was certainly not the way that Tech wanted to approach that game. But yeah, Sawyer, great. Cameron, an absolute weapon. It's what the ladies used to say about me in college. Not anymore. Now we're all talking about Josh Cameron, and the comments are flooding in. This is such a good day for Baylor and good day for Dave Aranda. Does it erase everything? Of course not. This is still year 5, and we're battling for a winning record. But this was a tremendous game plan. I thought it was a good day for Dave Aranda and Jake Spavital. So this was absolutely a butt kicking today. Like they flat out kicked their ass today in their own barn, which was a ton of fun to see all those Tech fans leaving, after the third quarter. Oh man, I'll root for Tech most other games, to be honest with you. I like their fan base, but this was something. This was absolutely something. All right, let's go to the comments. Scotty B, I saw this one before heading on here. This was an interesting one. This not necessarily have to do with the game today, but a Baylor alum asked him why we forced out Joey. Scotty said he left on his own to take the Tech job. Person didn't like my answer, said, sure, whatever makes you sleep at night. I don't know who in their right mind would think that Baylor forced Joey out. He got a head coaching job. He stayed on through a second regime with a new head coach, which almost never happens as the associate head coach. And then he got a head coaching job. Baylor did not force Joey out. They didn't give him the head coaching job, but they did not force him out. So hairbrush. Yes. Good comment. Belt to a $2 signs. I already said it. Belt to ass today. That's exactly what this was. Baylor just crushed them. Jimmy makes a good point, which I'm going to be looking at a lot this week. Rest of the schedule is 500 or below. Don't look now, but the rest of the schedule is 500 or below. I kind of said it looking in the bye week that the second half of this Baylor schedule is a lot easier on paper than the first. But the problem was we hadn't seen Baylor do it. We hadn't seen Baylor do it against a Big 12 team. This was their first Big 12 win in 364 days. So we hadn't seen it yet. But Jimmy, now we've seen it. Now we have seen how Baylor can win in the Big 12. They're not all going to be 59-35. We know that. But this was a good team you faced today. And you took them to the woodshed, the absolute woodshed. And that does open up a lot of things in this schedule. Oklahoma State team coming in next week, 0-4 in the conference. TCU the week after, they're in a bad way. Absolutely shows a lot of good things for the rest of this schedule. I have seen people in the comments here. I've had people text me today, 8-4 loading, 7-5 incoming. Worry about 4-4 first. And if they get to that next week, I think you see a lot of momentum towards 6-6. And that's really where we need to start here. Anything better than that is gravy, obviously, but you've seen how this team can win. And I'm going to give Dave some more credit here because it looks silly when you're losing games, but it makes you more motivated when they're winning games. But you saw it after the last commercial break, when it was 59-35, which ended up being the final score. It might have been 59-27 at that point, actually, now that I think about it. They're up big. The game's over. And Dave Aranda has them all huddled around him, and he's yelling at them like he's getting after him. And that was, I would assume, hey, let's finish this game out right. Let's keep playing for 60 minutes because that's how it's going to carry over to next week. You've played a great game here today. Let's finish it out the right way, do things the right way, and build on that going forward. Because we've seen games where Baylor has played well for most of the game, and it falls apart at the end, or they make a great comeback, and it falls apart at the end. Even though you're up by 24 points, finish this out. And man, that was a good way to do it. But for the targeting penalty, I love the broadcast is like, and that's big. Kalen Ford is out for the first half of next week, or Kalen Smith, whatever his name is. Sorry, Kalen. It's like, I don't think he was going to be playing in the first half anyway. Chuck asks a good question. Chuck is usually on here saying it how it is, maybe from a negative standpoint. Where has this Baylor team been all season? It's a good question, Chuck, because this looked like more than a competent football team. This looked like a good football team today. Absolutely. A few mistakes here and there, but where those mistakes happened, they overcame that adversity, like that play at the end of the first half after the Trigg penalty. They kept moving forward. They didn't make it worse. They made it better. And there were a couple of those moments today, mostly in the first half, where you're like, oh, really? Really? You start a drive inside the red zone and you only get a field goal. Really? Like, come on, guys. But they kept answering the bell. And something I've looked at a lot over the last few weeks was how teams responded after Baylor scored. You remember that? It was like all but one drive in like a 3-week span where after Baylor had scored, they had given up points. That was not the case today. They made stops today. They had a touchdown drive in the second half, got a Caden Jenkins pick, and then scored less than a minute later. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. And I hope it doesn't become a situation where they do play well at the end of the season and they end up 5-7 and we're looking back at that Colorado game. It's time to put all that in the rearview mirror to kind of move forward. Y'all wish y'all had Joey. I mean, I know I've been difficult on Dave Aranda this year. We all have been. And this does not solve the Dave Aranda issue through the last 5 years. It gives you something to build on. But I think there's still a verdict waiting to be out on Joey McGuire and where he can take this Tech program. I don't think this sets them back to a losing team. I think they've got a pretty solid team and they've had a good year. And I like his home record outside of those Baylor games versus what Dave Aranda's is. But yeah, it seems like a lot of back and forth on that particular point. And Chuck brought up what I brought up. Yeah, that was probably before I said it about the last TV timeout, chewing out the guys. And I mean, that's good. Like, that's good. That is a point to, hey, let's finish out this game the right way. Can we make Lubbock our home stadium? I would love to, Tim. I would love to. It's been great sledding there the last 2 times. I mean, that's just what the doctor ordered on the 2-4 season, 2-4 start. Hey, let's send you out to Lubbock, huh? Let's give you a must-win game out in Lubbock. Remember how great that place is? Gotta love it. Oh, that'll be the day. Absolutely love going out to Lubbock. Scotty, good point. No turnovers. No turnovers today. Good start. Not a lot of penalties either. Can I get an exact number on that? They committed. Maybe I can't. Really? I can't get the penalties here? Oh, there we go. 8 penalties, which seems like more. Oh, all right. My bad. 8 for 90 yards, which is twice as many penalties as Tech got. I was a little off on that one. But yeah, won the turnover battle and made the plays. They were a good, efficient red zone team. Outside of that drive, they started in the red zone. They scored every time they went in there. So scored a touchdown every time they went in there. So my goodness, what a good day for Baylor football. The only downside of this game was the broadcast. The broadcast was terrible. My Lord. I know most of you agree with that. We had some good discourse on Twitter. What a terrible broadcast. Like, I understand you're not going to get the A team for Baylor at 2-4 heading out to Tech. I totally get that. But just mistakes left, right, and center. Like, oh, Baylor was the only team that didn't have a 50-plus yard play coming into this game in the Big 12. And I'm like, that's incorrect. I can name 3 off the top of my head. One of them was a Jamal Bell 100-yard touchdown return on a kickoff. That's more than 50. And it was just everywhere. They had the wrong classes for these guys, saying seniors were freshmen. They called Joey McGuire Joey Miller in the movie Meet the Millers when it was really Joey McGuire in the movie We're the Miller. It was very bizarre. And then I talked about what Malin said earlier about the timeout with 8 seconds left. I'm like, yeah, that's when you call the timeout. I don't know. Grayson asks, am I pulling up to the homecoming game against Oklahoma State? As long as they give me a credential, I will still be there. And maybe even if they don't, I'll be there. I got some connections. Yes, I will be there. Heck yeah, I'll be there. This team can go 0-12. I'm still going to those home games. All right, I still am. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point by Polo Bear. I gotta credit where credit's due. Look, I've won about 12 Heisman trophies in my career. Had a good run of like 5 or 6 straight years undefeated at Baylor. I used my red shirts and everything. Won a bunch of Heismans. Won a bunch of Cy Youngs too. But yeah. Thank you, Polo Bear. I'm not even going to put up the next one because I'm going to keep with that. And one other thing, the Big 12 official postgame show. I can't tell you how many people say I host Locked On Big 12. And that would be my pal Drake, who also said that Bryson Washington was running against Lorena last year when he was playing for Baylor. Anyway, I mean, just raw emotions on this postgame. What a performance by both sides, specifically the offense. Of course, a bunch of garbage time yards for Tech when that game was well out of hand. But I think you got to give it to the defense today too. I thought Matt Jones played really well. Steve Linton, as I mentioned. And I mean, biggest part of this that I haven't even mentioned today, because we saw 5 Sawyer Robertson touchdowns. They established the run. They ran the football effectively today. How about that? I said it as almost wishful thinking on yesterday's show, or Thursday's show, excuse me, where I was like, they've got to run the ball if they have any chance to beat this team. And they actually did it. Bryson Washington, still the only Baylor Bear to rush for over 100 yards in the game this year, but he does it for the second time. 116 yards on 10 carries. Yeah, do the quick math on that one. 11.5 yards a carry. And that was like kind of legit. He was awesome in this game. I got a little banged up. He had the great first half where he had 2 rushing touchdowns. One of them almost went for whatever it was, 45 or 50 yards or whatever, before they ruled he was out of bounds. At the one, but Baylor ran it for 8 yards a carry today. That's what I'm freaking talking about. That's how you're going to get back into this thing. That's how you're going to get to a bowl game, establishing the run. And Bryson Washington was awesome. In fact, we go back to that drive. I want to get my notes here. I haven't even looked at my notes really for this one, but the Monterey Baldwin touchdown. Where is it here? It's in the third quarter. Excuse me, the fourth quarter. They go 5 plays, 86 yards, 2-minute touchdown drive. And it ends with a Monterey Baldwin 24-yard touchdown on the screen. You remember that? Flips into the end zone. Apparently you can't do that anymore. No fun. Even my dad, who's so old school, texted me and was like, seriously, you can't do that? But before that, pass to Bryson Washington. And then 3 straight Bryson Washington runs. 6 yards, 16 yards, 34 yards. Monterey Baldwin screen pass touchdown. Easy as you like. My God, what a performance for Baylor today. Bryson Washington, Sawyer Robertson, Josh Cameron. I mean, this is one of the best quarterback performances you've had in a decade. Legitimately a decade. You know, there were some good clutch, gutsy performances. Guys like Charlie Brewer and Blake Shapen had 1 or 2 in there. He had a great Big 12 championship game first half against Oklahoma State. Gary Bohannon had some good performances in there. But this stat line is as good as we've seen from a quarterback at Baylor in 10 years. Or 9. Seth's last fully healthy year was 9 years ago. But Sawyer goes 21 of 32 for only 274 and 5 touchdowns, no picks, a 189 rating. Yeah, that's how good it was. That's how good it was. Man, that feels so good for him. Go back into Lubbock, the team that ignored him twice, the team that his whole family roots for, and just lays it on them. Lays it on them. Yeah, I bet they wish they had Sawyer now. What a performance from him. Bryson Washington, Josh Cameron, 3 receiving touchdowns all the way around for the Bears. That was unbelievable. It's almost time to get ready for Oklahoma State, which put up a fight against 7-0 BYU. Where have we heard that one before? Baylor put up a good fight against BYU. And now they come into your house next weekend. And that's kind of the next thing. I mean, look, we're just looking at winning any ball game you can, right? I don't want to look at too many narratives or anything, but one of the big issues through Dave Aranda's tenure has been winning at home and winning big games at home. And that's the next step. That's the next hurdle. That's what you're looking at in your next win. You got to do it at home. And it would really behoove Baylor for the rest of the season and Dave Aranda for his job for them to come out and smack OSU in the mouth. Because if you look at what Oklahoma State has done in this conference schedule and just what Baylor did today, Baylor in this game looked like the better team to Oklahoma State in their last 3 or 4 games. Like, no doubt. And they have all kinds of issues up there in Stillwater right now. But that's for later in this week. Enjoy this win, because the last couple of years, we ain't had many like this. Trust me. I had this post game ready to go at like 2 plays into the 4th quarter. I was doing my Anna Nalick clip, and I was like, they're going to win. First win in a year in the Big 12. Like, I mean, that's a fun one. So all that to say, let's enjoy this one and then get ready for Oklahoma State and then start chipping away towards that bowl eligibility. It doesn't solve any of the problems that you've had so far. You can only move forward with it. But yeah, that feels really good. That feels really good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've had some big numbers live, and we always get great numbers after the fact. It is the best Baylor football postgame show out there. I am very okay in saying that, comfortable in saying that. And you guys are a big reason why it is the best. We get huge numbers. We get great interaction in here. I so appreciate you guys. Win, lose, or draw with this Baylor football team, we always have a great discourse here in the postgame on Locked On Baylor. I'm going to cut it off there. Thank you guys so much for making it your first listen today and every day. If you're watching live, special thank you to you. But if you're watching or listening after the fact, get involved in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this Baylor victory and how they can build on it going forward. Let me know what you thought was the best part of this game. Is there anything I overlooked in this game? Because I'd love to talk about it all week. This is going to be, we're going to be still basking in this probably Monday and Tuesday's show, by the way. And I hope you guys will come along for the ride, because it's fun to actually talk about wins. This is only like my 5th or 6th as the host of Locked On Baylor. So we will see you on Monday's show. Thank you again for making it your first listen today and every day. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're getting pretty close to that 3,000. That is the goal that we have. Andre 3,000 subscribers. And if Andre 3,000 subscribes, I don't care if we get any more than that. That would be a huge victory. But we will see you on Monday, basking in the glow of another butt bowl victory for Dave Aranda's Fighting Baylor Bears in Lubbock. We'll see you then on your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.